The Royals executed a trade yesterday in acquiring Mike Yastrzemski, who is batting 238 from the Giants. He is 34 years old. They also have his half year done on a short-term deal. I don't mind that if he's 34 years old at my age, but if they sign him for a long-term deal, I don't really like that. Short-term deals work. MJ Melendez was sent down to Omaha. Piccolo wants to add depth as at the Royals deadline as he does. The Royals likely have Reagans and Lorenzo back. However, they won't have Chris Bubik for the remainder of the season. Falter and Stephen Kolk will start Monday and Tuesday. The Royals will activate Nick Lofton as well. Stephen Kolk is also among the five pitchers we mentioned. Maybe part of the next season's roster as the part 5 starters or more. The Royals received, that was reported from the Royals. The Royals received a B or B. In most situations, some people gave an A-. The Royals will play the Jays tonight. Michael Walker will go for the Royals, and Kevin Guzman will go for the Jays. The Royals will play the Jays at 6:07 tonight. Noah Cameron will go tomorrow, and Max Scherzer will go tomorrow. He has an ERA higher than less than desired. Does Max Scherzer. First pitch tomorrow at 2:07. The Cardinals get Skylar Hazy, Mason Molino, and cash consideration for Phil Montron. The Cardinals also get Skylar Hazley and Mason Molina. The Cardinals also trade Ryan Hazley to the Mets. Cardinals receive Michael Frendo. The Cardinals get back right-hander exchange for Franklin Estes and Nota Dram and Javier Baez. That's what the Cardinals get back in the trade for Ryan Hazley. The Cardinals are back to 500 tonight. Matthew Lieberton will go for the Cardinals, and Nick Predivetti will go for the Cards. Game time 5:40. The Cards will play that game again tomorrow, as the Cardinals will play the Padres again. Tomorrow, that game won't begin till against Michael McGreever. Game time 9:10 Central Time and 10:10 Eastern and 7:10 Pacific Time. The Cardinals are back to 500. Predicted the Cubs looking like they're the cheap Cubs, though they went on the higher market normal, but the Cubs decided to. We'll have Ben Brown on the mound. We'll go for the Cubs, and Thomas Giglio will go for the Giants. The Cubs are got a C and a D. First pitch tomorrow is at 1:20.
Judson Richards, 670 The Score in Chicago, Illinois is next. Judson, how are you, buddy?
Soren, good to talk, buddy. How are things?
Things are good. Why are the Cubs such cowards? I mean, come on. Like, I know they had some motion. I don't know how much progress they actually made at the deadline. But, like, you've got this team. You've got this offense. Why not go, pay the price? You've got depth in the outfield at the big league level and depth of outfield prospects. Why didn't they net a bigger starting pitcher?
I wish I had a good answer for you, Soren.
Because they're gutless.
The word. What's that?
They're gutless.
Gutless, yeah. I guess that would be the word to use. Jen Hoyer virtually said that the cost was too high as far as spending those top prospects that they have. But, he said that the goal is to be good every year. And I hate that word good, because good is so forgettable. Good is winning 88 games and maybe flaring out of the playoffs consecutively. Like you just forget about those teams of the past. And what the Cubs have is the second best record in all of baseball, and yet, July, they certainly don't feel like a team for a number of reasons that are the second best in all of baseball. First of all, they just got battered around in Milwaukee for a team that overtook them in their own division, right? Like, they're not even in the top of their own division because the Brewers and the Cubs have the best record in baseball, and that's misleading because the Tigers have flared out so badly, and the Yankees cooled off, and the Mets cooled off. But that word to be good year in, year out by holding on to your prospects, like good is forgettable. Be great, and this is not a great team. Certainly doesn't feel like it with July because the bullpen hasn't been great. Kyle Tucker has cooled off, and as I mentioned, the Brewers kind of slapped them around. Although they have a payroll in the 20s, the Cubs are 10 or 11 somewhere in there. But they're a team that seems like they're operating towards good. And good isn't a team that usually ends up hanging a banner.
That is a good point. I called them gutless, but it should be made clear they do make up for it by being cheap.
Exactly.
Because having a payroll that's 10th or 11th when when you basically own, I don't know, 3 blocks any direction from the stadium.
Yeah, Wrigleyville.
The revenue that is generated by that club, I know has got to be, top 5 or 6, I'm sure.
I think it's 2 or 3.
Okay, yeah. and yet they're not going out and putting it back into the ball club. But, hey, it's a sunny day. Let's go to Wrigley. The fans don't seem to care, do they?
It's so funny, sir. And, there's 2 things that I decided I would never do in this business. I will never tell you how to spend your money, and I will never tell you who to root for. And being at Wrigley Field, because I do a number of Cubs pre- and post games, being at Wrigley Field, 40,000 on a Wednesday afternoon. Yeah. It's just the best place to be in the Midwest. I can't think of another one. But again, what changed after 2016, right? After 108 years of not winning, is it a fan base that is not happy with being lovable losers, that isn't just happy to be there on a sunny day? You'd like to think that the support that the Ricketts are given with the 40-plus thousand on a weekday day game, day in, day out, you'd like to think that that's being poured back into the ball club. But, instead of taking on the contract of a Mitch Keller in Pittsburgh, who had 3 years left, and I think the Cubs would have taken on $55 million over 3 years, which is very affordable. You'd like to think that that's sort of all in, or even a move to go get a Seth Lugo, who you know well. That kind of move should have been there because you have the prospects, but ultimately this is a team that at times has looked great. In July, it has looked much closer to good, and that's what they're going to take into the playoffs.
Well, it was Lee Elia who in 1983 lost his mind as the manager of the Cubs and let everybody know about how many unemployed deadbeats that were all out there booing him. That's what he called the Cub fans, unemployed deadbeats.
That is the greatest rant in sports.
It is.
I got, and I was kind of late to it. There's a great 30 for 30 podcast, The Lights at Wrigley Field. Just the story of how the lights actually came to be. I mean, not only how late the Cubs were to have lights up, but the rant by Lee Elia about the losers who actually have the time to go out there during weekday games. The language that the attack on his own fan base while supporting his own club. And Lee Elia just recently died within the last month or so. Yeah, that is a rant worth tracking down. And
we played it. We played it. We played it when he passed away. Yeah, and that's why. Yeah. And you can print it. We played it.
There's a timestamp of how old school it is when he says you can print it.
Yeah, exactly. That was the point of it. Judson, I'm sure you probably never thought you could go from the passive, lackadaisical fan of San Diego that's more worried about the surfs up to the don't give a crap, they're pouring beer at Wrigley fan in Chicago. Right. Is amazing how you seem to find these fans that just don't give a flying crap, man. You're like you're a detector for fans that are without passion. Actually,